Welcome to Veteran Voices, SITREP, with your hosts, Tom and Chris Faust.
Welcome to Veteran Voices. I am Tom Faust and my co-host, Chris, my son. And here we are. We're going to talk today about interviewing and learning some interview skills geared toward veterans trying to get into the civilian job market. So that's the goal today. And so mostly I think to start with the basics of interviewing, one thing to really do is to make a good first impression. First impressions are extremely important. And so the first thing people are going to see when you walk in is like what you're wearing. How are you dressed for this interview? And what you want to do really is to dress according to the job as if you were going to start your job that day. So if you're looking for something that's in construction, you want to be dressed for construction. If you're looking for something where you're programming computers, you probably want to dress a little bit nicer, but still casual. So just think about the position. If you're going to be a CEO, you might want to wear a suit. It all depends what you're looking for.
Yeah, it never hurts to even take it a little step further and just kind of like dress for the job above what you were going for. So if you're going for a construction worker, maybe, dress a little nicer, like a supervisor might, they're not always doing the nitty gritty stuff, but, polo shirt or something like that, as opposed to like, t-shirt and jeans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could do that. And as long as you don't look like you're trying to go above the interviewer's head, it's like, I want the job ahead of you. I want to be your boss. That might not go so well. So keep it smart, but yeah, you do want to dress for the part. The next part to following that is going to be kind of like small talk, how to break the ice in the conversation. So a lot of the things that you have to kind of keep in mind too is when you're in the military, you get very rigid with your responses and things like that. So keeping in mind that who you're talking to, just learn how to break the ice, have some little conversations just about general things, and not always be so like stone faced. Have to answer, be all serious. You got to kind of keep it a little bit light, unless the job you're going for is really serious. But for the most part, keep it light. Have a little bit of personality in there, and that helps ease everybody's tension. That for interviews are nerve-wracking in general. So yeah, and then speaking civilian as opposed to speaking military, right? So you don't have to say sir, for instance, if you're kind of picturing them as like you'd be talking to an officer or something. You don't have to say sir. There's none of that. You just talk plainly and friendly. So if you're answering questions, they're asking you about yourself, just be casual, talk conversational like you would with anyone else. You can share stories of leadership that you've had, because a lot of military service at pretty much all levels has some leadership in it. There's always something where if you have people that are working with you, or especially once you get a little higher in the ranks, then you have people under that you're kind of responsible for. And so the leadership skills, you have that, and be sure to share that information, because that's very useful.
One thing that I got over it eventually, but it was always fun to talk time, because I was very big on 0800 hours, 1300 hours, all right, I'll be in 1330 and things like that, and that would just get me a lot of looks like, what? It's like, oh yeah, 1:30.
Military time, yeah.
Having to retrain my brain for that. I still have all of my clocks and everything on military time, just because it's easier. Makes sense.
Okay, I don't have my clocks in military time, but definitely understand it. And sometimes at work, because we actually use it, because in some of the stuff that I do in programming, we keep log files and things on things that are happening in the behind the scenes of whatever the software is, and we always keep those in universal time, 24 hours a day, not 12 and 12.
Oh, nice. So it doesn't really segue into it, but another thing to keep in mind too for interviews is kind of the psychology behind them. So you don't want an interview to be just all conversation and very little substance. A lot of interviewers, hiring managers or whoever you're talking to, are going to be looking for kind of like key things. They're going to want to move the conversation in the right direction, which goes to you don't want to oversaturate your resume with things. You could have a 20-page long resume, and I guarantee you probably 18 pages of that are going to be ignored. Just be short and to the point for things that are relevant to the job that you're interviewing for. And then just keep in mind too that they're going to want to, they're going to want to know the answers. They're going to have specifics that they're looking for. So just kind of try and anticipate those, and then try to be, confident as opposed to arrogant about skills that you might have. If they say, what makes you qualified to do these things? Well, you can say that your military experience gave you the confidence to handle high pressure situations, or you can be like, well, I was in the military. I've got this all day. There's a difference between confidence and arrogance of, yeah, I know I can do it, but I can be kind of humble about it instead of, I'm the king. You need to hire me now.
Yeah, you don't want to come off like a jerk. You really need to be aware of how the other person is interpreting what you're saying and your body language and everything. So you just want to keep track of that.
You're going to have nerves. So, just deep breaths, just focus on one thing at a time. Don't worry about the 50 questions they might answer you. Just be calm and just collect yourself and just be ready for it.
Being calm is a big part. It's really easy to get nervous. And when you get nervous, your body temperature rises. Sometimes you sweat a little bit, or you get butterflies in your stomach. And, that's normal. That happens. Breathing calmly and evenly, maybe some deep breaths if you need to, before you go in, just kind of try and settle yourself and center yourself a little bit. Mm-hmm. That will help as well. And then they're going to ask you certain questions that you really need to get the answers to, like about yourself. Make sure if they ask, well, what do you like to do in your spare time? That kind of thing. Have an answer prepared. Don't sit and think, well, sometimes I like to go to the beach, or whatever. You want to be very firm in your answer. It's like, I enjoy camping. I like going out with my friends and hanging out and talking, whatever it is. You just pick something and have an answer ready to go.
Yeah. And then the dreaded question that always gets asked that you hate is, what is your greatest weakness?
Mm-hmm.
I really hate that question because
everybody does.
Yeah. It's so trying to turn your weaknesses into strengths without sounding cliche. So I guess, for instance, if someone's saying, okay, what's your greatest weakness? I mean, you could give the arrogant answer, I have no weaknesses, but you don't want to do that. That's really a hard one. It's just kind of what you want to say. It's like the weakness. So, I care too much is, kind of a cliche thing. So
yeah,
it's just a matter of finding how you can spin your weaknesses. So sometimes one of mine is I'm really stubborn when it comes to things. I want to focus too much on trying to fix it that I may lose track of time. And instead of asking somebody else for help, that might have resolved it quicker. That's mine, is I'm just stubborn.
Well, and the other thing about that question is, as far as being prepared for it, is there may be a follow-up, something like, what do you think you can do about that to alleviate that situation and get better at it? And it's okay to have weaknesses. I mean, everybody does in one way or another, but because you also have strengths that offset. And so it's just a matter of finding the right balance. The other question, very similar to that one, is what have you done related to whatever the job is? They may ask, what have you done that didn't work out, that went really wrong? And then once you kind of talk about that, it's like, well, what did you do to fix it? Or what do you think you could have done to avoid that situation in the future? Right. So those are kind of similar questions that you need to be ready for. And then they also like you to be able to demonstrate some problem solving skills depending on the job. But most jobs will have an area that you need to figure out how to solve whatever the problem is and come up with a solution on your own. You may have to ask for help for a while, but at some point you're going to have to be the one that does it. And so you want to kind of be prepared for that as well.
Yeah, especially in the IT field, when you're supporting customers and you're working on networks and firewalls and computers, there's always going to be general questions of, there is a specific way to fix something, and it's not necessarily that you have to get it right. It's more along the lines of, they want to see how your mind works for things. Because you might not always have Google as a reference like you do nowadays, where, I mean, if you don't know how something is fixed or what's happening, you can just Google it and somebody somewhere has found an answer. And you can use that. But without that, it's just kind of a general idea of, okay, how does the potential candidate's mind work in resolving things? So it can just be as simple as, hey, somebody's having email issues and this is what they're doing. Fix it. And then you just, ask the right questions of, hey, is this how this is? Things like that. Just show that your mind works and that you can focus on finding an answer. It might not be the right one, or it might be a longer way to get there. But as long as you can demonstrate those problem-solving skills, and you can even use past experiences to help you get there, that demonstrates that you have a general idea of you know what to do.
Yeah, and we're using IT and software development type examples because that's the fields that we're in. So it don't necessarily mean that this is only for that kind of thing, but it gives you an idea of the questions that you'll need to be prepared for, whatever they are for your field. If it's about being an auto mechanic, and repairing airplanes or whatever it is, you just need to know the answers for that field because that's what you're trying to be. You need to show them that you're capable. And then after the interview, there's going to be some follow up probably. They may not get back to you right away. They might just say that, they may have other people that they're interviewing. And so they'll have to get back to you. But if you don't, you don't want to seem desperate and like call them back right away the next day or something and say, hey, how's it going? But at some point you want to do a follow-up. So you might wait a day or two and send a thank you email or something saying, hey, thanks for the interview. I appreciate you taking your time with me, and I look forward to hearing from you. And just kind of keep it simple and polite. But the idea is staying on top of mind because, if they're interviewing 10 people, they'll kind of have an idea of certain things with certain people that they really liked. But if you can stay and, keep on top of that list of people that with additional contact, you're more likely to have a positive result.
Mm-hmm. But then on the flip of that too, you're looking at, being able to handle rejection because you might not get the job. There's always going to be somebody out there that's more qualified or better at it or has more experience, and that's what they're looking for. So learning to handle the rejection of basically saying, okay, I didn't get that, even sending a, thank you for your consideration kind of a thing. An email like that. Just handling yourself instead of just kind of flying off the handle saying, well, this is ridiculous. You need to hire me. You don't want to do that.
Right. And by doing that, by even, sending a post-rejection email, thanks for your consideration, that puts you in a good position if something comes up in the future and they're still looking. That, this person was, they were okay, but we hired someone else, but they were really, really good about, handling the fact that they didn't get the job. I think I want to look at them again. So that's always a possibility. And of course, if you do get an offer, and it depends on the job. Some jobs, it's like, okay, you can get the job, you can start Monday or whatever it is. And you just start because the job is, A, B, C, these are the things you do. But generally, unless it's a very low wage job, generally there's room for a little bit of negotiation, because now you know that they want you and you want to be there, but you want to make sure that what they're offering fits with your expectations. You don't want to necessarily just take a lowball offer because that's what they're, saying, oh, well, we can pay you X, but you really need, you really needed it to be more than that. So you just want to be able to possibly make, a little bit of a counter offer and make sure that you get what's fair. You don't want to be asking too much, because then they might change their mind and just not hire you. But, it's worth sometimes kind of offering a little bit back and forth and see what, make sure that everybody's happy with the situation.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much all we have for today. Unless you got anything else you want to interject, Chris?
No, nothing on that. Just, again, thanks everybody for whoever tunes in and watches this. Thanks for taking time out of your day to hang out with us and listen to us blab on about a topic for a little bit.
That's right. It's what we do.
It is.
So we appreciate you being here, and we thank you for your time. And on that note, Chris, until next time, see you.
See you later.
All right.